Call the meeting to order Monday, June 12th at 6:12 PM. Second?
Second.
All approved? All right. Listing of members. We can start.
Ben Norton.
Mary Anastasio.
Courtney Boudreau.
David Roll.
Mark Sands.
Okay. And reading of previous minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read it? There are two of them, right?
Should be three.
I saw two.
I saw it too.
Okay. I guess I gotta keep pushing that send button. You sent it once and,
Yeah, no,
so we
trust
have
me.
the two.
Yeah.
I
do you want
did
to
make the correction.
Courtney's,
Yeah,
yeah.
apologize for that.
Do you want to know which ones they are, or do you know which ones the two are?
So we have May and April.
May and April.
And then, oh, okay, no, he's right. There's March in here too, it was on like the first email.
I did not get
I
that.
did not see that.
April and March were on the first email, and then the edit
Yeah,
came from, he added.
so I saw
May-
March and April.
May and,
And you had the edit for May.
No. The edit was for
that it was from April.
April.
Okay,
And that was, and then.
that was corrected.
Mark corrected that one, and then you did add, May
May,
to
okay.
that.
Yeah.
To that email, so there's two emails sent out, one having April and March, the second one having the version 2 of April, including Courtney on that, and the May 1st.
All right. Everyone got a chance to read it. Do you want to accept it? Do we have a vote to accept it?
Well, can we go, make a motion to accept the minutes of the April meeting as the second version?
I second it. All approved?
Aye.
Excuse me, March. Make a motion to accept the March minutes as written.
Okay,
Any second?
second. All approved?
And then a motion to accept the May 1st minutes. Any second?
Oh, okay. I did see that one. Okay. Yep.
Okay, approved?
Approved.
All right.
David, you seconded?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I think that does it. You're all set with the
Yeah.
minutes before? Correspondence. Mark has one from a concerned neighbor regarding balls flying out of the lacrosse field into the front yards.
Yes, neighbor was,
Ye-
concerned about crossballs coming up on Central Street towards an Ontario property. And I spoke to the people I spoke to the concerned citizen, and we had a lovely conversation about her concerns and what we need to do going forward. I then talked to John and Jen at Trying to Use Lacrosse and explained to them their concerns. We're looking at trying to find a solution before next season, whether we might be able to move the fields up 10 feet, 15 feet. It's not going to make that much of a difference. They have to figure out how much space is at the far end, because there are regulations about the size of the fields that lacrosse needs to be played on.
I just have a question. So what's occurring?
What's occurring? On the boys' field, when they shoot the ball in the westerly direction, there are occasions where the balls go past the net, over
Across the street?
across the street,
Into
over
our
the
house.
wall, and onto.
And she said she wanted to make it clear that she is not upset at anything. She loves seeing the kids play, so that was one thing.
So she's, but it's just,
It's
it's
an
somehow-
awareness, and
Yeah.
if there's a way we can help reduce that, because it does bring up the question of the possibility
So
of
it's
cars.
more like this size as opposed to like the little guys, just saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know, it tends to be the 7 and 8s,
Oh, okay.
7 and
It's
8th
not that
graders.
far. Okay.
Yeah, because the high school team doesn't play up there, but 7th and 8th graders would.
So it's that age group, I'm just trying to.
Yes, 7th and 8th, I don't know.
Beyond power.
Yeah, I don't, well, some of the
They're
little,
hard
there's some
bats.
4 or 5s that have a pretty dark, 5, 6
Yeah.
that have pretty good shots. So it depends on where they are in the field and how,
They're heavy balls too.
yeah, and they have bounds, so
Yeah.
you need
Okay,
to,
cool.
you know, be aware that the parties are involved. We'll continue to work with lacrosse.
Yeah, we're talking about maybe putting up, or discussing, maybe an idea might be net of some sort. We'll see, I mean, that's a logical, temporary net, like you see at some of the baseball parks or golf parks, but I guess it's gonna be cost and.
Yeah, if we can keep it safe, because there are pedestrians, bicyclists and cars that go by, if we can reduce any unnecessary, let's do it. But their season has concluded at this point in time, so we have some time to think about and work with them and find a good solution.
So a net or move the field, those are the two solutions?
When I marked it out, it's not gonna make it that much of a difference, 10 feet. Field-wise is fine, but that's not the that distance is easily covered by the bump.
Any other correspondence?
I have not received any bills of late since the last warrant.
Okay.
But I am expecting the Mellow, and I'm thinking some other bills.
Thompson.
and Townsend,
And
perhaps the subject pumping,
we can get to that.
a couple of bills I'm expecting, but I have not seen them yet.
I don't know if this would count as correspondence, but I had emailed, you might know Brad Smith, he was a substitute teacher. He came up to me the other day in school and was telling me about the basketball courts. They're like, the parts that are like shifting.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, where
I didn't know if we knew about that.
DPW is well aware of it, and they're trying to find time to shift them back. Yeah, it's a thing.
What
I
part
think-
of the court is shifting?
I think when they built the court, my guess is, instead of having standing water on it, they built it, the high end would be closest to the fields, and the low end would be sort of that parking lot, and then that back area that goes around, and it's shifting towards the parking lot. So I'm guessing, because it's a consistent shift and it's lifting up, it's just, vibration and then movement this way. So, there may be a couple of options that we can look into to make it fixed and not movement, but the DPW said that they had moved a certain section of it and they plan on getting the rest done when they have some time. So we are aware of that. Okay, bills and claims. Did we just go over that?
Yeah, we did, sorry.
Oh, no. And let's do old business. Update on pickleball. I think that's Mark's.
Mark Gershon, but he's not here. Brad Smith, as you mentioned earlier, and his wife are taking leadership in running that with the COA. They've been having a good crowd, and looks like it's going to be successful. The question would be, and it would be deferring to Cindy, if over the summer we want to include more time or just keep it at the 2 days that it currently is. I did get a conversation from, I think it was Mr. Smith. Now that we have the COA using it, when do families and other people get access to it? So maybe something we want to consider. I'll talk to Cindy about timeline.
I had a conversation today with the people that did the court itself, that surface, about painting it. And I don't think he understood me originally. He's like, oh, you should put a separate pickleball court on it. And I said, we'd love to. That was our initial plan. But trying to get that passed through town meeting was, we had a hard enough time getting the court. So we didn't even attempt to add, like an area for pickleball. And now I look back at it, it might have been the right decision at the time to push it. But I re-emailed him and I asked him, I said, so I went to the court the other day and you could see that their blue tape, they're sort of ripped up and it was all over the place. They just, when they put the tape down, it doesn't stay, and then the kids play basketball and it kind of rips up. And they probably have to retape it all the time. So I emailed him to find out if he, an estimated cost to actually paint it and what that would take. Because it would be I don't think it would harm that basketball court to have 3 pickleball courts in the middle of it. Especially, you know, the way pickleball is starting to be a thing. So I'm waiting back to hear from the volley back to him and see what he has to say.
So that's the cost estimates
Yeah.
for painting permanent lines?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
moving away from the temporary lines that the COA currently has?
The temporary lines that they acquired, the users of the court feel they're too heavy and cumbersome, believe it or not. I'll bring up my, I think it'll be Wednesday, the lines that I purchased for myself and see if that would be a better fit. 'Cause not all lines are made equal. And try that out. If not, see if there's a way in which a permanent solution could be added to it. Again, for those who are new, to make it a pickleball court, the cost would have been much higher, and the concern was that may not pass. And at that point in time, it was more important to make sure we had a basketball court up and running, and we could always add stuff later.
Right, Based on need.
And then we got that passed, and now we have another use for the multi-purpose court.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts on the pickleball court? All right, we'll move on to master plan proposal update, consultant discussion if available. Chris could not be here again tonight. I'm trying to get him, and when I get him, I'll make sure that Tracy's involved, and we'll go over it. But basically, he sent me these drawings, and if you look at the drawings initially, they're like, those are a lot of basketball courts.
Are they updated or?
This is, he did this is basically his master plan, and it's a rough, this is the whole, I'll send this down. This is the whole field area right now, and it gives directions on everything he plans on doing. And you know, you can see there's a page of what, like some of the things to give shade and art area and bicycle racks and bicycle stations, and then a playground. So, and I said, how are we gonna put a playground where it is? And he said, the location is perfect. It's gonna be on, it would be on the other side, it's not if. It would be on the other side of the basketball court, heading towards the fields. And he's able to get away so it's not touching the septic lines. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, one of those may not have a legend on it. Do you have the one that doesn't have a legend? Do you, Ben? Yeah, for the.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, here, take this one, go legend.
And it wouldn't mess with.
Just take toss out those.
Here, actually.
Here. And that's a middle. So, it's,
We'll give that one without a legend.
I've looked at these. So, it's a good start. You know, the idea of this master plan is to, you know, come up with these ideas and eventually knock them off one at a time.
So I'm just kind of checking it real fast. The lines
Direct,
here.
this is central street, is
Okay.
pulling into the parking lot here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the
Yeah.
field house right there.
That's the
The
field
li-
house
Yeah,
here.
the things that look like
Okay,
basketball
cool.
courts, which threw me off,
Yeah,
are the actual fields. So,
Oh,
Yep.
gotcha,
yep,
thank you.
and he's got a walking line that goes completely around the field and by the,
Oh, yeah.
so that'll be kind of cool if we.
And then
get
I'll
that.
go out to the boat launch
Yep.
that we've talked about. and
Yep.
whatnot. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so there's, you know, the idea was to get a, sort of a template on what we'd like to do, and then pick stuff that we can afford to do. And I think, you know, we should look over I'm trying to get him in here ASAP so that we don't miss on these ARPA funds. But, you know, he's got a pretty basic playground.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I
I have
think
to have the expert on this. Do you think that would pass the kids?
Yeah, I think my 2.5-year-old would run around on it.
Yeah.
There's nothing that looks like a pirate ship though, so.
That's all we need is a pirate ship. There's one that has pink and stuff like that, but yeah.
But yeah,
So, so that's that. I think we're making progress on it just to get him in here and talk to him about what to do.
So I don't know what the funds were or how to proceed with that. You guys might know obviously better than I, but is this enough to submit to the select board so that we can submit it for funds or? do we
Well, I think
further
the process
discussion?
is we have to get Chris in here, and then what they would do is we'd pick something in the group or a couple things and figure out what the cost would be. And then, in order to get something done like the playground, we have to go through town meeting. So, which is always fun, because you have to get there and beg to, and, you know, it's hard because, like I said, sometimes you look at a playground and you're like, okay, well, I look at that, it's like $80,000, $70,000, but in actuality, it's $300,000.
Yeah, it's way
Right.
more.
And it's hard to sell that. So it's one of those things where if we can get to the point where we all agree on a style, a design, and we pick out, you know, what our priorities are, and some of these things I bet we can do with our funds, our revolving funds, but a lot of it, like the playground, is gonna have to be town meeting. So,
Is that something that we're at a point to at least?
that's
study?
where I think we need Chris to come in and then talk to us, and then we would all have discussion about it and see if we like the design of it. And,
Yes, there's some questions to it. Some of the things look really good. I think it's a good start. But there's some questions about his location of things that we need to really drill down on. And for example, when I look at the tot lot, we had a big conversation about putting that split rail fence up next to the basketball court to keep the activity balls from going into the basketball court. If we had a tot lot right next to the lacrosse field, that could be problematic, even if it was we moved over to the soccer field.
well, I think that the wall was put up for a safety reason. We went through that
Okay.
process that wall was put up so that kids didn't fall off the edge. That was part of, I think, of our initial plan, and we finally, it was a whole thing. We finally came with the finished product. So yes, I think that he's well aware of that, because I don't think that, I mean, this is what he does for a living. He builds playgrounds. He was the one that came up with the original design for this. So I think that's something we can just discuss with him. And as we knew with the basketball court, so the basketball court, just to give you sort of a brief outlay of what happened in the basketball court. The basketball court was supposed to be, our initial thought was, okay, we're gonna do, you know, 2 end baskets and then 2 in the middle, so we could do that. And we talked about maybe put it on asphalt, and then we thought about it later, and we said maybe we should have a surface on top of it. And we said, okay, we'll do the surface, we'll do the asphalt, put this rubber surface on top of it, and we'll be good. And then we put it to Chris, and Chris did the design for it. And what we didn't take into account, that it had to be cut into the earth, so that now we have that. So now that we have that, that sort of that wall back there, and then that became that we had to have a wall so kids didn't fall over, and then it was, you know, the access. So what seemed to be something that was reasonable turned out to be, when you actually put in the actual cost, became very expensive. And I mean, it's beautiful. It came out great, but be prepared that when the final, you know, when we send it out to bid, there'll probably be 6 or 7 bidders on it, and the cost can freak us
Well, I
out.
told you guys the new
Yeah.
one playground in West Newbury at the Page was like 125.
Yeah,
And then most of it was the cushy
yeah,
floor.
yeah, and I'm sure that's the way they designed it, but yeah, 325 is, I figured around $300,000.
This does look
Similar.
smaller
Okay.
in scale, but
Yeah. All right. So think about these things. Look at them. I'm going to do my best to get him in here, probably sooner than later, maybe next month or, I don't,
Well,
yeah.
next month's July.
Yeah, so maybe for the July meeting,
I would think that would be great.
yeah, because I just don't see us meeting in a week or anything like that. Because we're all probably, and July's gonna be difficult because people go places to do things.
Well,
So-
have you given any sort of like availability indication or?
I sent an email and said, can you give me an idea of what you can do? And I think you could do after this week, like the couple days post where we were as far as a meeting time. But yeah, I'm waiting for a response from him when the general time. And what I could do is we'll plan the meeting for July, whatever. I know we're working on the 4th, and the 4th may be a problem, but somewhere in that ballpark. And then we'll
Well,
just.
the 4th is a Tuesday, right?
So we're
And
probably.
Tuesday is generally when select board meets, right?
Select board or Concom.
Yeah, so, I mean, we could possibly do the 3rd, again,
We typically do the first Monday of the month, right? Ish.
Yeah.
So it's the third.
yeah, we could, in theory, I don't know if that's that would be the holiday, I would bet, right? Holiday is, or we probably, well, I don't know. I guess it all depends. I don't know how
Generally,
town.
people take Monday
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the
So
holiday weekend.
probably more likely to be the 10th,
Mm-hmm,
and, yeah.
cool.
So, we'll wait until the end of the meeting and pick a date for that, to pick a date for the next meeting, but I think that we're on the way. And this is time sensitive, whatever we decide to do, in order to get funds to do it, and, we
So he
made.
has, 10 elements of the master plan development for town, right? Kind of over on the right.
12.
12, thank you, I can't count that thing. Areas for public art, bike rack,
Yeah,
charging station, that's actually kind of cool.
yeah,
I think, yeah, these
Yeah.
were all the things that we had said.
Outdoor shade structure, so that, it seems like he's incorporating a very comprehensive plan.
yeah.
And it has the boat launch, right?
Well, it has it. He's calling for an adaptive canoe and kayak launch. I don't see where he has it, it's feasible. Having a little bit of experience in that area. Again, we're tidal river, the only access, and that's when we have a good year, is further over.
Well, I mean,
There's a lot of changes that need to happen to
Yep.
this.
yep, yep.
I don't see where number 10 is, the areas for public art.
I don't have the legends, so I can't tell you.
Okay. Or the pathway to the Triton complex is not,
Not on there yet.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good call, right?
So, yeah, so all these things, we just have to, this is like an initial
Yes, we
plan.
declare.
And we'll clarify and see if we can develop from that.
Mhm.
But I think that the idea with this whole thing, and we've been thinking about this for years, is to say, here's the fields, this is what we'd like to do with them, what do you think? And make it so that, my vision, which was not, when I came on, it was more soccer lacrosse, soccer lacrosse, soccer lacrosse. And I think the idea of making it, having the Central Street recreational fields, an idea instead of being soccer lacrosse, soccer lacrosse, soccer lacrosse. So to bring in more things. So Mark years ago said, yeah, we should put a little amphitheater down here, and there were all these great ideas and things we can do. So at least we have the start of a blueprint, and we're not scratching our heads and saying how to do it. Anyone else have any questions on this? Master plan proposal update? Going once, going twice? Okay, review any usage applications, and I did, I got a phone call from, I don't know if you sent an application or not, I think I sent him an email, but from Triton, I guess it's Triton Youth Football. And I think that the fall schedule is packed, correct?
Well, the fall applications aren't in yet.
No,
They're not,
No.
they're not,
Okay, okay,
they're coming due, so if they would like the opportunity,
Yeah.
put in an
no,
application.
nothing has come through on my rec
okay,
for
Anything.
requests.
okay. All right, I will send him out an email again, because he's interested in using the field. I said that there's a possibility to use that little section, if you look at our beautiful 3 fields, there's that where the blank empty one is, there's that little area up there. That is something that
Bless you.
they may be able to use for, he said he might be able to use it for practices. So we have to, the question is,
Oh, this area up here?
Yeah,
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, there's that little
Yeah.
rise up there. But that would, we have to go through a whole thing of, one, find out if that's something DPW will take care of, and then 2, how we,
For the
if we
fees.
would charge, or how we would charge for that. So,
yeah, because it's like not a designated
It's,
spot.
yeah, it's not on a list of fields, quote unquote, it is open space. As I've said before, the area is not, is open for public use. So if they want to use it, in theory, they could just use it. Now, we do ask people register for the fields, so that, for a lot of different reasons. But that space, right now, they could just use it.
yeah, they're gonna have to think with a group like that, they probably
But
have to
if
go
they
through the whole.
register, like what would they register
That's
under?
just, that's just that we don't have it demarcated
Right,
as a
okay.
committee as rentable space or designated usable space.
Yeah, yeah, so that's one of those things, you know, maybe that's in the future, I don't know.
I mean, how much space are they looking for? If it's just practice
Like
space?
I know they're looking for a football field for games. And, because we discussed before about the possibility of shifting these fields, and if we could shift them one way or another in order to get enough space, and I think that you and Mike walked it out and decided that it was impossible to put
Yeah,
another field up there.
I remember years ago walking the fields with
Mike
Diane.
Feldman? Okay.
Well, Mike later, but with Diane Manter about why they were set up the way they were. That there can be a little shift in the fields in the east-west direction towards Sun Street, 10 feet either way, so that the goals aren't always in the same spot every season. That a little bit will give that grass a little bit of extra rest, and then you move it back, or you move it 3 feet this way. So you just try and preserve the fields as best as possible. And then when Mike and I walked it, there wasn't enough distance between moving the fields closer to Central Street and trying to create more space with the eastern side before it got to the road. It just wasn't enough to put a field in there, and I don't think that's our practice. Again, I'm going to beat this until I can't. Kent Way would be a way to resolve
Yeah, yeah.
utilization of the space. We
Yeah.
have more space out there, and we own the property.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea about using Kent Way as a usable property, I think sort of a mission is to get this somewhat done and then look at Kent Way, because Kent Way is going to require getting DPW to have time off. I don't know if Conservation Commission has to be involved in that little road going in, but have DPW come in and clear all the land out. And I think it's a great idea to clear that land, take all the scrub trees out, and have an open field and parking as a start, and alleviate, as we know, in the ball games. Because you're right, you drive by the baseball field and they're out in the street. And so it affects the library and what the library does and stuff like that. So I think that, yeah,
One project at a time.
yep. And if we can do both at the same time, sure enough. But we should, maybe that's, the
Just-
next meeting, we get into, you know, plan A, plan B, and see if we can work both together. And, you know, find out what the process is gonna be to get, you know, something going with Kent Way.
Just a quick question to expand on that. Plan A, say this is Plan A, Plan B is Kent Way. Does Huntress have any idea of Plan B or Kent Way? Or
Yeah, don't,
When you say does he have any plans, but the plans were.
does he have any idea?
Their plans created about 15 plus
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago that outlined what they were expecting to put in back then, which included 3 or 4 basketball courts, another baseball field, a concession stand, parking for 45, 50 cars
Right.
on a road. It was all laid out. It was, Conservation Commission had given their order of conditions for it. It was ready to roll. At that point in time, the funding was not available, so it just sat.
Right. Is there, so does he have those plans?
I have a set of those plans.
were they done by Chris?
I don't know, remember offhand.
Okay.
Is that something that you can see if he did them
Yeah.
or something along those lines?
Yeah.
That if we're going to have him come in, then perhaps the Plan B documentation might be helpful for him to kind of see.
I
That makes
agree with
sense.
you. I think it's important, if you're looking at a master plan for recreational activities with town-owned space, that's a comprehensive plan, that we don't say, here's what we're doing at Mantor, and then say, oh, here's something over here.
The
Because
proverbial redheaded
one of
stepchild.
these things that we're trying to put in place here
May-
may be a better fit over here.
Exactly.
Because I don't know if people, perhaps you can in your free time, take a look around neighboring towns where they have their playing fields and where they have their, and it's not mutually exclusive, but if you look at playing fields like in Ipswich, the Memorial Fields off, I think it's Mile Road, they have baseball fields and a football, soccer field, no gym, no playground. The playground is over by the baseball field off the town,
Right.
off of Linebrook. And talking to different, and maybe as a planner, the reason I was told is there's traffic congestion. And it may not be in the best interest to have playgrounds next to, on days where the fields are being excessively used, people coming and going, a lot of traffic. Pipe Stave being one up in West Newbury. They don't have any gym equipment there. Cherry Hill over in Newburyport, that's where they have the soccer fields, playground. They have more fields downtown. What other town am I looking at? Raleigh has behind the school, but that Salisbury, Lions Field. But where the parking is, and they sort of separate things to give people options. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Well, the
So
other.
that's why I was just calling that out.
Yeah,
Because
the,
this is, just looks like Mantor, and this is where.
Central Street.
This is Central Street Fields.
Yeah.
The-
And this is where we're doing all this stuff. Is there a better solution?
There might be.
Him taking a step back and looking at it cohesively might give us an opportunity that none of us thought of.
Yeah, no, and I agree.
Yeah.
But the other part about that is, what I remember, because it's 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that typically the playgrounds where, this type of playground was used weekly during,
Right.
you know, mom's time, dad's time, that they would bring kids to.
One
and
kid's doing this,
so
the other kid's doing that,
it
right.
typically didn't coexist with soccer and stuff like that. Yeah, it's gonna add more vehicles. But the thing is, the other part about it is, and you can look at this different ways, this would be basic, I shouldn't say that, but it would be for the town of Newbury. Those are the town, now we all use West Newbury's.
Right.
We all use West Newbury's, but it would be for the town of Newbury versus, you know, we're putting all these, you know, Triton Youth and private soccer things, which are run by people not in Newbury, or some Newbury, some not, so. Yeah, I think let's hash it out and see what we can do. I just,
Well, this this Central Street is across the street from a giant neighborhood. I feel like more people in the town of Newbury would come
Yeah,
out
it's,
to an art
it's,
instead.
I'm
it's-
not opposed to,
No.
I think actually, I think this makes sense in a lot of ways.
because it's central, but,
Because it is
yeah.
central.
but if by chance we can swing it and use that other place and throw a playground, we're close to the library playground, which is, you know,
A lot of people use that and it's tiny.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a coordinated approach to bringing younger kids to the library, and then they get to play in the playground. One of the challenges, and I don't know where different people grew up, but some of the challenges for those of us who did not grow up in this type of community is, I grew up in a town where my school was 2 blocks away, you walked everywhere. If you ask parents who live on Orchard Street if they'd let their 10-year-old son walk to the playing fields, they'd say no way. It's not a safe venue. Even people living on Fatherland would not let their 10-year-old. And that's just, part of it's the time, some of it is just the way this we're designed. We also have the mid-latitude attitude where if you go down on Fatherland, out of the 55 houses, 26 of them, last time I counted, had basketball courts, basketball things in their own yard. So it's not like where I grew up, where you had, the one you had was in behind the school, it was a single court, that's it.
That's the one
And
you had to go to if you
Yeah,
wanted to
so
play.
some of it is understanding how, taking our previous knowledge of playgrounds and basketball courts, how does it fit with Newbury and what our needs are, not what we bring from our past experience.
I don't know, I'm a Newbury town resident. I'm driving to a billion other towns with all my friends going to other towns to.
Yeah.
Oh,
We all did.
I did too. Action Cove on Tuesdays, I had my own groups going. So yeah, I'm not disagreeing with it, but I guess my suggestion is that we have looked at all the different angles and made a comprehensive, well-educated decision to do this. That's all.
Okay. Update on online reservation portal.
There have been no new requests,
Okay.
and everybody in there is booked, like their requests have been booked. The thing I guess I wanted to ask, and maybe I ask Julie, but they have, so MyRec generates bills, and then they go, you know, essentially to whoever's making the reservation, and then I have no idea what happens after that, so I don't know if
Oh, they're being paid.
they're being paid. Some of, like, they're in here and they say not paid and it's thousands of dollars, but I don't know,
Okay.
like, who's responsible for making sure that they're actually paid or the money comes in,
All right.
so
I can ask.
And were we able to follow up with overriding system for the COA stuff?
Yep,
Excellent.
that's all set, yep.
Okay. Does anyone know, since we're talking about schedules and online, when the season ends for, was it June 28th or something?
Give me a minute, I can see if I can get it.
For, in general,
Yeah, when the, because we're gonna try to get them to move we
So-
discussed this before, move their nets off the field this year, because last year they left them up all year round.
so the last scheduled, in my rec at least, is Triton Youth Soccer's June 17th and lacrosse is June 18th, and then they don't have anything after
Okay.
that.
All right, perfect.
And nobody sent any applications for the summer at this point?
Just the Council on Aging, pickleball and yoga class, and that's it.
Hey, John. Hey.
All right, use of, we did the online portal, use of auxiliary areas, non-fields, including flag football, we touched on that already, that's that area. And then also we discussed Kenway. Anybody want to add on to those discussions on auxiliary areas? Nope.
It's
Okay.
just, sorry, this is Kent Way, right?
Yes.
I'm just, where are you talking about?
See,
Fields?
that's the mystery. So if you leave
On the-
Kent Way and you just go out through the main gate there, there's a resident, has a road, right, the first road
Yeah,
as you're leaving, and then a little bit further, there's another house that has a road, but in between there, the town owns that land from there all the way to the library. So it's just scrubland right now.
is
So-
it wetlands or is it, you were saying something
Yeah,
had been
there's,
permitted
it
previously?
probably, there's one area that probably edges that.
Yeah.
Yes, there is areas that,
Do you know how many acres it is?
it's about 5 acres that was acquired for the
Wow.
sole purpose of recreational facilities
Great,
for the town, limited wetlands, some of it is to connect the current ball field of Martha Pearson Field to a larger area. The idea was to make that another center for recreational activity.
yeah,
Um,
great, thanks.
Yes, it's a nice walk if you want to go through it.
It's open, is there a trail or no?
No,
Just-
bushwhacking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
wait till the winter.
No,
Yeah.
I'd wait until you, yeah.
Thank you, that's
It's
helpful.
pretty, because I tried it one time and I was like, I can't get through. I started at one end, at the library end, and, yeah. Power source, this came up, Mark, about using a power source to electrify illumination of the existing fields using, one was battery and one was gas diesel. Mark is a little bit up on that than I am, so.
And I spoke with the town administrator and DPW. At this time, we have no way to charge a user a fee to use electricity. So that sort of puts it, I don't want to say kills it, until we find a way to figure out how to charge it. It's not viable at this point in time. I do like the idea of replacing the lighting system from the current, I believe they're diesel powered.
So electric required?
To electric quieter, less fumes, but it's a matter of figuring out how to, the ones that I like are the battery powered, where you set it up, bring the battery out, charge it, put it into the lights, they work. End of shift, you take them out, put them back in their charger, and they get ready to go for the next one.
Yeah, I assume the light source, light is also better with the LEDs.
The LEDs
Yeah.
and the way they're able to project the lights down
Yeah.
as opposed to
Like,
everywhere, yeah.
Light pollution.
So we'll continue to keep that on our back burner to see if there's a way that we may be able to find a way to access power and charge people to use it.
All right, here's a question. Did people get letters in to continue your service to your community? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Huh, look at that. Who knew?
We just have to email the.
That's what I did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they may not
It's like, wait,
take
did I have to
us.
do something more than that?
No, you're all signed up.
They may
I
not.
saw it flag.
Not until you're approved.
Yeah, it might be booted. Someone might leave, you never know, you know.
Or somebody could be not telling the truth, but they sent it in.
Someone could leave.
Well, she said she saw them, so
Yeah.
she at least saw them.
All right, and so, let's say in July, maybe we add to the agenda about, just discussing, offices, who's,
Yeah.
chair, vice chair, who would like to move things around and,
Reorganize.
Yeah.
And then we also need to, more promptly than last time, identify our treasurer, I'll mention your names, Mary, and our alternate.
Yep.
So that documentation is with the town accountant.
Yep.
To reorganize and
yep,
blank.
maybe we get more people in here. Is that a problem if we had more members? We'd have to add 2, right, instead of 1?
They can appoint up to 7 members,
Okay.
1 being reserved for a Newberry High School student.
Okay, which we have.
Yes.
So, okay, so there's 4 of us, so the possibility,
Two
Two more.
more.
Okay.
And then designee from the Open Space / Planning Committee.
Yeah.
And then, again, another non-voting member from the Council on Aging.
Council agent, Cindy. All right, yeah, and, yeah. Okay, that's good. Summerfield maintenance schedule. I know nothing about Summerfield. I think we were talking about maybe another, team. I mean, not another team. Is anyone, you haven't got any applications for the summer, but I'm pretty sure that every year,
Somebody
Roger-
has traditionally held a summer clinic there, whether, one of the soccer teams I know, Triton Youth Soccer has mentioned that they were interested. I don't know if lacrosse would be interested as well. But the idea behind the summer maintenance is we used to be on a very dedicated schedule where one field was shut down, superseded, extra care was put into that, and we had a 5-year plan. So every year, a group of one set of one of the fields would be set aside for special attention. I'd like to make sure that DPW maintains that and coordinate it with whatever fields are being rented for the summer. That's also.
yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's limited use compared to, the spring and fall.
Yeah.
Very limited. All right, Triton Civics class. Yeah, that's been taken care of?
Yes, for those who remember and those who don't, there was a 3 students
Three
from
students.
a Triton Regional middle school class came to talk about their proposal to put trash receptacles in the Central Street area by the field house and by the basketball court. Spoke to the town administrator, DPW, and then I also checked with neighboring towns about their strategies. And one of the big concerns like we currently have is people using it for household trash. There's no way to really secure that, and then there becomes an issue, like in many other towns. How does it get emptied regularly? We have a dumpster, so they'd have to take it to the dumpster and to allocate time for that. Right now, we don't see any, if you did a needs assessment, there isn't a lot of trash coming out of that property to warrant additional equipment, and then it becomes a time manpower issue.
There's tons at the school, but not there. There's tons of trash at the school, but not at.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things in
No,
Lebanon,
at middle high school.
Okay.
yeah, one of the things that has been emphasized, and I give credit to Triton Youth Lacrosse, Triton Youth Soccer, and North Shore Rush, is they've been very adamant about making and helping their parents understand that this is one of the best kept fields around, and that in order to do that, they have to bring their trash in to the dumpster, and we take it from there. So, thank you for working with your parents to make sure that we minimize that work. So, I did speak to I'd like to formally request that we deny that application. I did speak to the girls about it, about the challenges to it, wrote to them, about going forward, how to make their presentation more powerful. But if we can we just vote that we're not going to accept that proposal?
Make a motion that we are not going to, I feel mean doing this. We're not going to accept the proposal of the Triton Civic class because of lack of, at this point, coordination on getting rid of and moving the trash.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
It's
All right.
not mean.
Well, I know it's not mean, it's just, they were lovely.
It's a good idea.
They were lovely, it's a
It
good
is.
idea, and it's, yeah. In the best of worlds, it would be something. We've doubled up here on the master plan proposal, so we don't have to do that. New business, I see nothing on new business. Do you have anything going with new business?
No, can we just circle back, because
Yep.
John Vogel is here from Triton Youth Lacrosse. He was invited here to speak about.
Do you mind if I run? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanna,
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and we still have a quorum.
Thank you, my
Thanks, Ben.
friend.
Study well.
Thanks.
John, if you want, I did express to the group about concern that was brought to our attention regarding the crossballs exiting the field across the road onto a yard. That we spoke, that we looked at, we'll continue to look at how we can modify the fields or whatever to minimize that. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just think it's super low frequency that like we have this type of occurrence, and you know, I mean this is the first year I've seen it. I've been part of the club for 4 years, so just very low frequency type of situation, and I don't know if it justifies the town investing in protective nets or something like that for such a low frequency of an issue. We have 80 plus Newbury parents, so 80 plus Newbury families on our club. A huge subsection of our club is just Newbury folks, and heard no comment. Everyone heard about what happened, and none of the parents or families had any like concern. They really thought it was a very like far off the bell curve kind of one-off.
Yeah, I think I don't think it was I don't think it was meant to, there was nothing malicious about it or saying this is a bad thing. I think from what Mark was saying on an email that it was one of these things where they just noticed more balls in their yard than maybe prior. So it may have just been like you say, a weird frequency. So.
Yeah, I mean that's our guess to it. And I'll only say that we do really appreciate the field space. We take it very seriously. Whenever we have a big group of folks out, we make sure we clean the fields because we like a really nice field too. So we've tried to really treat the field as like great stewards to it because we appreciate playing there. So.
So yeah, it will be continually monitored, and we'll see if a solution can be identified that is feasible.
Okay. Anything else for G2IL while I'm here? Or?
No.
You guys don't have nets on the field or anything like that?
I think everything's getting pulled off.
Is that something that if we talk to DPW about that, has that been at all coordinated, or would you guys have a place for it, or what's going on?
We left that spare, so we typically leave one spare net throughout the summer for any users to utilize. A dad and a mom might come up with a kid and throw the ball, so we typically use one. We, at the end of the season, take all our game nets and all that stuff just to take good care of that stuff and put it away. As always, we love some type of other access, be it a storage container in the future down by the bottom parking lot, or anything that we could utilize to put heavy equipment. We've been chaining up our smaller nets this season for little 1-2 guys and gals, and that worked recently. So
it's weird because I talked maybe a year ago on DPW about it, and they were game to open up a door, but I think it was just coordination. And I will send an email, and then if it comes down to it, if they're amenable to it, we'll get you guys involved and find a spot maybe.
Yeah, if not immediately for this end of this season, going forward. So
because as I remember the space, because it was a while ago, it was in there. It was a big open space that DPW had certain equipment in there. Nice. But I think that if you take a look at the footprint of that building, it's pretty large. So
and it would be just for the winter storage.
Yeah.
Once they come out, they'd have to go back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would be. We would definitely say yes to that. If that's a possibility.
All right, I'll pop an email this week and see if I can do the same thing with the court to find out when our court's going to be flat again.
Yeah, I think we had a really good relationship with soccer this year. Like, all that went well through the spring, just to give you guys some feedback. As it does normally year after year, but no issues with lacrosse and soccer playing well together. All good stuff there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I guess just out of curiosity, and I brought this up earlier. So through MyRec, do you get the bills that are generated through MyRec?
That's a good
question.
Because
I know they go off, like, once the reservation is booked, they go off into space, cyberspace,
I
but then...
we got the bill
Okay,
via email.
yeah,
And then I believe we just came into town
okay,
to finalize that, we don't believe we used the
not like
platform
through the system, yeah,
to,
okay,
to finish.
Okay.
We just, I think it was easier to go to, downstairs.
Right.
To, you know, town, treasury, and just,
yeah, I just wanted to know if that loop, how that gets closed,
that's how we closed it,
okay,
yeah, FY '23.
okay.
But yeah, the communication from that coming outbound, I think
So
was
should be a way to
adequate,
flag that.
yep,
Cool.
so.
Thank you.
All right, I think that covers, going back and touching that old business, no new business. Date and time of next meeting. I am guessing that we go back to that date, which would be July 10th, Monday?
Monday, July 10th. But based on dialogue with.
Yeah, Chris Hutchins, I'll see if I can lock him down, and if he, if he's on a vacation that week, maybe move it to the 17th. If he can't do Monday, he can do Tuesday, Wednesday, then, as long as we're not.
Is there any
not-
vacations that we have
what's that?
scheduled in July, around that time frame?
I'm doing vacation the end of July,
And then.
last week in July.
Very end of June.
Yep.
From now going forward.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's plan on the 10th at 6 PM. And if something comes up, we'll make adjustments. I'm gonna have to make sure that, I'm gonna send out an email and just make sure I have everyone's email, because there's things like this, I would rather pop this out, just, we can't discuss it, but I'd like to send it to you guys so you can actually see it, and then it would make things a little bit easier. And then the other thing is just, for things like, last week's meeting, because I didn't know, it's like I saw it, I'm like, oh shoot,
Yeah,
I
I
screwed up on the meeting. But, yeah, it's no big deal, but I was just like, I freaked out, I was like, I think I really screwed up, because I told Chris the 12th, and if he's there and you guys are here and I'm at work still, but.
I played like the Celtics, I kept dropping the ball, so I apologize.
Yeah, no. All right, so, you wanna close the meeting at 7:09? I make amendment to close the meeting at 7:09, second?
Second?
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, Mary, you got the honors of shutting the,
camera.